Hey everybody, David Michael Phelps here. Welcome to another episode of Working Man, and this episode is one I have been waiting for literally months to be able to do. Our guest today is Kyle McCarthy. Kyle has spent the better part of the last decade traveling hither and yon to manufacturers all over the country as a field tech installing and repairing manufacturing equipment, and that's a job he did until last week. And then something happened this past Monday. Kyle took up a new position as the Director of Manufacturing Technology at a little trade school in Michigan called Harmel Academy of the Trades. In this show, you'll get to know Kyle a little bit, what drives him, why maintenance is often unappreciated in manufacturing and in day-to-day life, and you'll learn a few parallels between keeping a shop running and keeping your spiritual life tuned and healthy. And what's more, you're going to see why we are so excited, thrilled, over the moon, nay, agog, that Kyle has joined the team here at Harmel and will be leading the charge of training the next generation of Catholic tradesmen. So without further ado, here is Kyle McCarthy.
Well, yeah, I'm 28 years old. I've been in the machine tool or manufacturing industry for about 8 years now. Started off as a cleaner in a tool and die shop and worked my way up to maintenance and then worked my way to field service. And then, looking forward to, teaching them how to do it. So
now I think a lot of people probably don't know. I found that a lot of people, unless they have any recent experience in manufacturing, say, don't understand what manufacturing is like today, right? And I think probably even less people understand what maintenance and field service in that sort of world looks like and means. So when you said you have all this experience in machine maintenance and field service, I think a lot of people don't know what that means. Well, explain it.
So manufacturing, definitely people have watched that show, How It's Made, which is a great show. Recommend it. But it kind of does catch, some of the older stuff. But maintenance really means it depends on the shop. I found in field service, you go in and go, hey, I want the maintenance guy, you got to talk to him. Well, it's just a janitor that cleans the bathrooms, but he's considered maintenance. So maintenance can be a wide term in manufacturing, but basically you're there to keep the machines running. Most shops, I'll say, do a good job of preventative maintenance. Some shops, the maintenance guy is a fireman, for lack of a better term, go around and, that machine's down. Got to go fix that one. The next fire happened. Next machine's down, So, but I was in maintenance at a tool and die shop for 4 years, and that's basically how we ran. We were trying to get it to a better preventative maintenance, but we were kind of firefighters. We would come in, have a plan, go, all right, this is our plan for the day. And then 20 minutes after that plan was made, it was completely dismantled, and we were doing what we had to do to keep the machines running. So, which is anything from, we even maintenance in the tool and die, we worked on the bathrooms and we worked on the facility as well. We do all the things to keep that shop running, which some places they hire out a lot of that stuff. HVAC is, heating and cooling, that's a separate company. Plumbing, we did hire quite a bit of it out too, but we did also the initial, like, hey, we got to go get this running. Okay, we got it running. Here, let's hire it out now. So, but yeah, then field service came along, and it was a change for me because you're only concerned with what they've told you to come in and work with. For the most part, some customers go, hey, I have you here. I want you to fix everything. And you say, no, can't happen. But for the most part, the customer calls in, goes, hey, we need a guy out here. And you say, okay. And then they send you out there, and you start looking at just the one problem that they have given you. In contrast to maintenance, in-house maintenance, you can be looking at that one issue, but there's 37 more issues lurking around the corner. It's just you have this feel of like, ooh, what's going to happen next? When you're field service, you kind of just get to settle in and go to that groove and just work on that one machine. It's actually kind of really nice when, especially coming out of it. Now it's kind of been such a long time that it's not as nice of a feeling anymore. But yeah, so field service, you take on that one problem that they give you, or install a new machine. That was a big part of the field service industry is, hey, we bought a machine. We need a guy come install it for us. Okay. You go out, install it, get it running for them. And then, give them the keys, so to speak, and let them drive. There you go. It's all yours. So
what is it that sort of drew you to maintenance? I mean, what is it about yourself or about the work itself that you felt was a good fit for you?
All right, let's explain how I got into maintenance at the tool and die shop, because I started out as a cleaner, just sweeping floors, mopping, taking trash out, the basic stuff. I was put into an area which was called the roughers, which usually make these huge metal chips, and you have to have people back there taking care of them. There's no conveyor on these type of machines, or those type of machines. They are conveyors on machines, but we were back, or I was back there, and it was a slow day back there. One machine was running versus the 3 that I normally have to take care of, and it was running a semi small chip, and it wasn't building up as quick. So I was kind of, what do I do? And then maintenance was working on the other one. So naturally, being curious, I just went over there and started talking and working with him at, hey, do you need me? Can I do anything? And as we started working together, I was asking questions, and he goes, here, you take off this cover and put the screws over here. I'll be back. Okay, no big deal. Thought he had to go to the bathroom or something. Took off the cover, did what he asked, and then he came back and goes, sweet, we can have you. I was like, oh, what do you mean can have me? Like, he goes, I just talked to the foreman, and he said, if you want to, you can be part of maintenance and we can train you. He's like, I really like the questions you were asking and your line of thought on this process that we're doing, and we've been looking for somebody to train. And he gave me that opportunity. He said, now you can say no, and he can put you, as a machinist or as a mold maker. This kind of gives you a little bit of freedom to plan your own fate at the shop. It's, you're not getting told you can do one thing or other. They're asking you. So I thought about it, and I said, I really don't want to clean anymore. So little did I know there's a lot of cleaning in maintenance. It didn't get away from cleaning. But yeah, so I decided to go ahead and join them. And, it really kind of found that I had the right mindset for troubleshooting, and, probably was a little bit of the troubleshooting skills I had from the computer shop when I was younger. So it just kind of fit. I don't think it was necessarily that I was drawn to it, or it kind of just fell in my lap. And, as we're going, and especially to the guy that was training me, him and I thought so alike. We would arrive at the same conclusion with the same information, which is really weird. He would, I'd come up to a machine that he's been working on, and he would just prevent the facts that he has, and, the same ones that he was given. And he asked me, what do you think? And I would go, hey, it's this. That's what I was thinking. It wouldn't be a collaboration necessarily. It would be like, hey, I'm leaning towards this, but what do you think? It was more of, he wanted to see if I would arrive at the same conclusion with the same facts. And for the most part, we did. It was eerie, to be honest. We worked good together. I don't know. And, he trained me and he taught me a lot, and then I started going to GRCC and learning there, and really, really liked picking up what I learned at GRCC. I was actually disappointed when I moved into field service, because I was actually in the middle of a controls class at GRCC, and I was actually getting into stuff I was really interested about, learning this kind of side of it. And then I took the job as field service, and I had to quit halfway through. So I was like, oh man, we're just getting into the stuff I want to get into, and I have to, put that down and go to another job, which I learned so much at the other job as well. I'm not disappointed, I guess, but, guess I can learn more. But
yeah,
you never stop learning.
Yeah.
Never. So.
Yeah, it seems to me too that what people don't appreciate about maintenance, again, you hear maintenance and you think janitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And janitor is a super important job, right?
Oh, it's a job that no one really wants to do either.
That's right. That's right. But you notice it when it's not done or it's not done well.
100%.
Yep. But people tend to think of it like that. And what people don't tend to think about is all the, you might say, creative ingenuity that went into engineering or designing or building machine, and all the know-how that you have to have in order to understand how to run a machine. Those are fine things, but someone's got to be the keeper of where those two things come together, right? How the thing was built and how it ought to run.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people these days especially really privilege, you might say, the type of creativity to build something or invent something. But very few people take the time to consider that maintaining that thing also takes a sustained creativity, right? It's not just you invent the thing. We're used to in thinking like, oh, wow, an iPhone, what an amazing thing. And now my expectation is that it should always work exactly perfectly forever and ever. Amen.
And that's a lot of people's mentalities in a shop too. I mean, the owner says, I got this. That's a lemon. Well, you didn't grease it for 10 years. It's like, of course the thing's going to fall apart. You guys didn't take care of it. Yeah. I agree with that statement a lot. Yeah. It's funny how many people are like, oh, you mean we have to do things to it after we get it, And I always bring it back to automotive because a lot of people can relate to that because a lot of people have cars or at least have been in a car. Yeah. And I really doubt a lot of people have seen CNC machines. I know I didn't until I walked into that building that day and was like, whoa, what are these things? But heck, a lot of people don't even know what tool and die is. I remember telling that to somebody and they said, is that a hardware shop? Like, do you work at a hardware store? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't work at Ace Hardware. No,
it's a gaming shop. Dice, right? I mean,
yeah, right. So yeah, a lot of people don't understand it. So you got to bring it back to something they can understand. And you tell them, hey, you drive your car, right? It tells you to get your oil changed every 3,000, which most people don't. But you go get your oil changed for the most part pretty regularly, or you're gonna wreck your car. Why won't you do it with your machine? If it says, hey, every so often change this oil in this part, most people go, nah, that's fine. Like if you did that with a car, you're not going to get anywhere. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, you got to bring it back to things that they understand. And then also a lot of people just don't do maintenance. I don't know why. That's why we were firefighters, so to speak, at the tool and die shop is they got away from preventative maintenance. And that's why we couldn't do anything. We would try to do it, but breakdowns would happen and prevent us from doing what it was hard to get back behind, we were behind the 8 ball, so to speak, and it was hard to get back to it. It's, you're always playing catch up. You can't ever get in front of it to stop it or, and every time we did, it always bit us, so to speak, because a machine would break at the same time. And then now we have 2 down and the foreman, ooh, hey, I got to have these around, we need throughput. So what I get that because money, we got to make money too, or the shop has to make money. And that's the one thing about maintenance, why it's kind of always got a negative flavor to it, I guess, from a management standpoint. They look at maintenance, they go, ooh, maintenance is spending a lot of money, but they're not making us any money because there's no metric to really measure how much money, we're making or, with the machines running. There's no correlation, which kind of puts us in a negative light, like we're expensive. And they don't see why we're so expensive or how much good has come from that. It's a necessary evil. It is expensive. We don't directly make product. We don't make money. But in turn, if we weren't there, you wouldn't make as much money, or you would, what I'm saying?
Or you'd lose a lot of money.
Yeah,
later.
You would. Yeah, it's kind of got a negative feel to it a little bit from some managers. I'm not trying to. Right. I'm sure somebody's going to hear this and go, "Well, I don't think that way," but
right.
I'm just saying.
I think that's the thing, right? Is that this is one of the things I find so fascinating about it, and I think people need to rediscover generally in their own lives, but specifically with manufacturing. Is here. I'll try out the theory. You tell me whether or not you think there's anything to it.
Okay.
The theory is that I think a lot of people have a hard time paying attention. We'll say right?
Okay.
And they're pursuing the thing they're pursuing. Say on the shop floor, it's a certain part you're making or product, whatever it is,
gotcha.
and it's easy to connect that product to profit. Because I make this, someone pays me that, and it's there.
Right.
It's easy. I can see
This
it.
margin is the profit, right? Yep.
But it's a little bit like looking at a machine or like a car. I have that gas pedal and this steering wheel, and I'm going in that location, and that's all I want to think about. The reality is there's all this stuff under the hood that's got to work, right? In order for that to happen.
Tires, brakes, general stuff.
And if it works well, then great. I shouldn't have to think about it. But that doesn't mean there isn't relationships, you might say, like invisible relationships. And I think with maintenance, it's like that too. I think some people have a hard time saying, wow, this is expensive. Well, yes, but what we're doing is we're opening up the hood of your entire business and saying, see, all of these things are what's required for that business to work.
Right.
And if you're not paying attention to that, it is going to feel like it's money out the door, but it's not money out the door. That's what it takes to create the thing that gets you the money.
You gotta plan for that. You gotta, as you were saying, like they see this part that they're making, they sell it for this. This is their cost to make it. You gotta adjust that cost to make it, to have that breakdown in there, to have maintenance be a part of it. And a lot of people don't consider that. And you got to bring that. Oh, you don't make as much, but now when maintenance happens, you're not saying, "Ooh, that's an extra cost." It's, "Oh, we planned for this."
Yeah, I liken it a little bit to like people's attitudes towards things like trucking, right?
Okay.
We're used to having all the things that we want in this world when we want it now, especially right. I mean, like I can order this thing and have it on my doorstep tomorrow morning.
Yep.
But
thanks,
we're
Amazon.
not. Yeah. Well, yeah, but thanks to the guys that maintain the vehicles that those, what I'm saying, and the guys that drive, people just aren't used to thinking that way. And there's a sense in which that's fine, but there's all these invisible inputs, and I'll say all these invisible types of genius that actually drive the thing that's happening that we're just not used to paying attention to.
Oh yeah, I understand. We hit, add to cart, ship, and it's there the next day, but we don't think of how that package actually went from the warehouse to the front step. We know the action that we took and the reaction that happened directly. The package showed up on the step. Cool. I got what I paid money. They did what I wanted them to do. But we don't think about how every step of that logistically is been engineered to be streamlined and, efficient. Because think about it. I mean, Amazon has created their own shipping department. Like they have their own for their products because they have that much to ship, and they get things, 2 days. Like that's pretty much unheard of. I mean, I remember when, shopping online became a thing or more popular. I got not as old as the internet, but I remember when it became popular and you could start buying things off the internet. 2 weeks was a standard lead time for, items. And that was pretty good. Now we're complaining about 2 days, 1 day. Ooh, we can get that in 1 day, 2 days. That's just insane to me to think somebody can click a button and get it. But now it's becoming normal. And now people want things faster, oh, hey, I can't, why can't we have that same day? It's like, wow, really? Like we went from 2 weeks to 2 days and that's not good enough. This.
And and there's obviously it's a huge topic to talk about, like when, economies like that shift and what does that mean for, jobs and all of that. And that's a whole conversation unto itself. The thing that I think is, that I try to focus on as a first thing in that is when you realize that something like, it's miraculous in a way, right?
Right.
And we like to think like, oh, it was simply engineering or the robotics. And yeah, that's all of that, the algorithms and all that. Those are amazing things. And we should, be thankful in appropriate ways for those things. But the thing I like to do is draw attention to the fact that, wow, we can get something, we can, for example, have something shipped so fast that ought to create a sense of wonder in you and ought to make you think about like, wow, who are all the people involved in order for me to have that magical thing happen?
How many hands did it have to go through to get to your front step? Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, anyway, so all that is to say that I think, I tend to think when it comes to even things like machine maintenance, I think people would do well that wherever they are right now, there's a whole host of products and a whole host of ingenuity had to happen to get it to them. And a whole host of machines had to be designed in order to create all the component parts for that thing. And those machines had to be built and those machines had to be maintained.
Right.
And people aren't used to looking at like a pen in my hand, right?
How many steps did it take to make that pen, right?
How many steps and how many particular geniuses had to be involved in making sure that everything worked in order to get that to me.
Right. No, it's one thing that definitely I got a little bit more exposure when I was field service, going into all these different places. And it would be weird to go into a place and they say, hey, we make whatever, but then I'll go to a place later on and they go, hey, they're one of our customers. We do this for them. And there's so many steps to one thing getting put, there's multiple companies that do just one thing, it would be like, hey, we do this for them, that goes to them, and then it goes to a different company, and then another company takes that and makes a product with it. It's just like, we do this, we put the finish on it, they put the holes, it's just like, there's so many steps, and, we don't realize that as a consumer, I guess, how many steps did something have to happen before it got to you? It's just
as if by magic, right?
Yeah,
I hit a button on my screen and it shows up.
Well, even that, or you're in the store and you look at stuff. I was at a customer with my old job in Wisconsin, and I always ask them, "What do you guys make here?" It's a nice, softens the edges and kind of, everyone wants to talk about themselves, right? And so they were telling me, and they're like, "Oh, we make the stuff to make ice cream containers." I'm like, what? And sure enough, I've been staring at this piece on their mill that I've been working on for 6 hours. As soon as he said that, I could see it. Without him saying that, just looked like a blob to me, But yeah, they make the dies that make the ice cream containers, that I'm like, wow, it's
someone's got to make it.
You're right. You don't think about it. And then they also made machines that made paper cups and paper straws. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that's how it was done. There's a lot in the background, it's just, yeah, it's crazy. Like everything that is out there is manufactured at some point.
Yeah.
And you don't think about the things, you think about, okay, vehicles. Everyone talks about like Ford and GM and, oh, they got plants all over and we make parts for them. Yeah. But there's other things besides that get manufactured, people make parts for and then assemble somewhere else. So the manufacturing is just a crazy interconnected world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
my kids and I have been watching this show on Amazon, and it's this BBC show about 19th century farming. Now hold on, it gets better. Hold on.
Oh, I'm holding.
But it's actually a really fascinating show because it's this farm in England that these, academics of some sort or the other who study Victorian age agriculture, what they decided they were going to do was they were going to spend a year living on this farm and working it with only the technology that the Victorians would have had.
Okay.
And what's really interesting about it is, as I've come to learn, that the Victorian age was this age of huge advancements in agriculture because of the Industrial Revolution, and you can manufacture new things and invent new things. And so the show is as much about you might say the manufacture of equipment to solve problems as it is about farming. And so it features all of these, this was a machine that was invented in 1860 and look what it's able to do. And what's interesting about the show is it's easier to see that there was some farmer somewhere that said to themselves, you know what, if we were to do this with this tool that I had and made it do, if we could do this, then it would yield this amount of output and it would make it easier for me to, I'm not going to have as much backbreaking work in the field or whatever, right? So it's a fascinating show. But one of the things I like about it is that we tend to be so distant from the way problems get solved through manufacturing. Right?
Right.
It's hard for us to imagine, with a straw or whatever like that. If you said to someone, hey, if you had to make a straw from scratch,
right,
what would you do? I think most people would be like, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But someone had to begin, and someone had to build the dies, and someone had to build the machines, and
right.
And I think I don't think enough time is spent on the appreciating how wonderful that is.
No, and the advancements that manufacturing does bring also has its benefits in other areas. As farther, people push the limits of machinery and stuff, and they make robotics and stuff, it's also carried over into like the medical field and stuff, oh, you can do a surgery with a robot now because it's so precise and it's so, and it's less invasive now, you can get into smaller areas and don't cut people open as much, that technology had to start somewhere. It probably started, manufacturing, whether it was a direct, result of it, or is it, hey, this is manufacturing stuff. Hey, let's use this, let's refine this and make what we need for, the medical field or whatever. So, I mean, advancements in technology are just awesome in general for everybody. No one really, and that's the interesting thing, looking how far technology has come from even when I was a kid to now. Like kids nowadays can appreciate it, cell phones, right? Cell phones weren't popular when I was younger, and they became popular. You had a flip phone, that's nice. And then now it's like, oh, you need the smartphone with, does all this stuff. Younger kids these days don't appreciate that. They just go, oh yeah, it's my phone. It's part of my life. I know how to use it really well. I don't understand how it works though. And I think somebody in the maintenance field has to take that and say, how does it work? Has that, almost an engineering mindset.
Yeah.
And actually look at stuff and say that's awesome how they did that. Who would have thought to use, this kind of signal and flip it like that and, use it for cell phones, for communication, so everyone can have one in their pocket instead of having a landline and stuff. It's just crazy how much technology has grown, and, but everyone just gets focused on what it can do for them.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to the Amazon thing, and we ordered it. It can come in 2 days, but no one realizes how big of a feat that is. It's just, that's how it is now.
Yeah.
It's
everyone's interested in what technology can do for us, but fewer people are interested in how it does it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the people we're looking for, is the people that say how or why does it do this.
Well, tell me about that a little bit then. What do you think makes for, a great, if you're looking to bring people into, maintenance and manufacturing, what qualities are you looking for?
I guess the curiosity quality, mainly. And, I have some friends that are engineers for local companies here, and they're generally pretty curious people, I was just talking to one on the weekend, and we were, discussing how he's into, he likes to do stuff outside of his work. He likes to fix problems, and, this is kind of stupid, but this is what he likes to do. But he was talking about his drum set for Rock Band or whatever, the video game. He found out if you put bigger resistors in line to them, it makes it louder. It's more of an input. Then we went us down the rabbit hole of, well, why does that work? How does it register? But him and I are similar mindsets. We take that curiosity and like to fix problems. If a student was coming in, walking through the lab, you'd be watching him to see, is he wanting to interact with it? Is he studying it, or this is cool, just looking around going, is he wanting to go, ooh, what's that? Or I know how this works. Does this work almost like, kind of, bring it home to what he knows and says, yeah, this is kind of, this is the same idea behind this as, whatever, it's, you just got to see that curiosity and how they can bring an idea back to what they know and, make it familiar with them. That's what at least I do. I don't know. There's a lot to manufacturing that I don't know. I have, 8 years experience, and I'm not gonna lie, there's way more for me to learn. But, you have basic concepts that you do know, and you look at something and go, how does this work? And then you figure out how to bring it back to a concept that you understand and know. And then it becomes less scary to you, or, oh, we know what to do. We can do this. And, it's to bring it back or figure out how the concepts you do know apply to something. And, you think of mechanically, right? There's I forget all the basic mechanical devices, right? The incline plane, the lever and stuff like that. Those concepts are exactly how mechanical works, just applied together or in different fashions. But they all come back to those basic mechanical devices, I guess you could say. And if you know those devices, you should be able to figure out how everything works. But you just got to get that farther back view, step back, go, okay, what are we trying to accomplish and how does it do it? Okay. So yeah.
There's real magic in that. I remember when I was a kid and I was studying to play the guitar, and it just seemed like very intimidating to me. All the music theory and all the variations and the styles and techniques and blah 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 blah. And then I came across this quote by a man named Les Paul, who is a god in the guitar world, right? I mean, the guitar's named after Les Paul,
yes,
right? That's Les Paul, right?
I'm not in the guitar world, and I know it. So,
and he had said the line blew my mind because he says, "Well, there's only 12 notes." Oh, holy cow, he's right. That's right. There's only 12. Everything is just built on those 12 notes. There's just 12. Right. And all of a sudden, it became freeing to me to think that this huge, intimidating system of systems was really like, well, no, there's only 12. Don't be scared. There's 12 notes.
It's just how you put them together,
We're
right?
just going to put them together in different ways. And that's where we started. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's all of a sudden the wonderfulness of music became accessible to me. And I think the same thing is true when it comes to machines. There's so many principles, very few of them, right? So basically, here are your 6 keys.
Right.
These 6 keys will get you into all the doors.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's, it should be invigorating, yeah?
Yeah, don't be intimidated when you walk up to something that you've never seen before. At some level, you'll know what it does. Especially as you get more familiar with stuff, you just get less intimidated by something. People used to get, oh, it's a big machine. Ooh, oh no, it's going to have things I don't know. No, it's the same things, just bigger. Don't be intimidated. You got to rely on what you do know, and especially for me, like being in-house maintenance, comparing myself to the guys that were teaching me. Yeah, I didn't have a ruler to measure myself with or any metric. You know what I'm saying? I didn't until I stepped out into the field service world and realized, oh, I do know how to fix machines. Like I don't just know those machines I worked on, or, I'm just not going through the motions at the shop and I'm really riding on the, the coattails of the other guys there. You get out in the world and you're like, yeah, this is what they're looking for. And I matched up to it. I lined up to it. It was nice to get that gratification, I guess you could say. Of course it's nice, right? But to actually figure out that you measured up, you actually knew what you knew. And it's probably going to be hard for students coming in, they know nothing. They're going to have this huge learning curve. I shouldn't say huge, but they're going to have a learning curve, and they're going to get in shops and the guys are going to be intimidating. They're going to be, oh yeah, we did maintenance for 30 plus years. Oh, how do I live up to that? Just learn from them and, realize at some point you do know what you know, and you can take that and go, So
let me ask you a similar question, but almost the opposite. Like, what are the sorts of qualities that, will doom you to crash and burn?
So thinking you know everything. As soon as somebody tells you that they know everything, don't listen to them. That person, like, I think you never stop learning as a person. Not only talking about trades, in life in general, about God and all that. There's just infinite information out there. No one person can know it, right? So thinking overconfidence in your abilities are going to burn you. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to think you're a hot shot and you're going to do it. Also being really unsure of yourself. So we got two spectrum, or the ends of the spectrum, right? Being really unsure of yourself. You're not going to have confidence. The person working with you is not going to have confidence in you. they're not going to want to work with you or feel like they're safe around you. You know, if you're, I think I turned off the power. I don't know. You know, it's like, you know, you got that. Did I do it? Ooh, you know,
touch that wire.
Right.
Tell me if I turned the power off.
You know, yeah. It's just a 9-volt, you know. So, you know, you got the opposite spectrum. Don't come in too cocky. Don't come in hot and go, yeah, I got this. I'm, you know, big dog on campus. Don't come in going, ooh, I don't know if is that right? You know, you got to be confident, but humble, I guess, is a great terminology. And know that you can learn from anybody. I had to learn that lesson. Somebody can teach you anything. Like I said, you are always learning. So even if you have the mindset, I know more than this guy. I've worked with this guy before. He's not at the same level I am. You know, he's my helper on this job or whatever you want to call it. But I'll tell you a story. I remember working with a guy and we were on an install doing something, or, you know, we were working and I'm like, you know, I was getting a little cocky, right? I was like, yeah, I'm smarter than this guy. I know I am. I've been told by other people I am. And we were working and I went to do something. He goes, why are you doing it that way? So that's how you have to do it. He's like, well, you can do it that way. Just do it this way. And he shows me this super simple little trick to do it. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I'm over here thinking, you know, I'm way better than this guy and he's teaching me. You know, he's supposed to be the helper. He's supposed to be learning from me, but he's teaching me. So you got to be open to those moments and not take that perspective like this guy's going to teach or I'm teaching this guy. You know, be open to anything. One of the guys at the tool and die shop said it really good is, I'm going to do it the way I do it unless you can give me a better way to do it. Not saying he knows everything, but he knows the way he does it is beneficent and can work for him. But if you can show him a more efficient way, he's all about that. He's not closed-minded to it, but he's going to do it the way he knows how to do it until shown a better way. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what you got to look at. You know, you got the tools and you can do it the way you know how to do it until somebody, whether it is the janitor, you know, whether somebody else shows you a better way to do it. Mm-hmm. So never be closed-minded to learning or thinking like, oh, no, this guy can't show me anything. Just be ready to learn from anybody. And I think that's a great lesson for life in general is, you know, take a life lesson from a little kid, you know, saying, you know, with no filter and sees it, you know, the world completely different. Mm-hmm. And it's just clarity. And it's like, wow, that's not tainted with, you know, oh, I'm worried about my job or anything. You know, it's just, you know, I don't know.
So here you are, you're at Harmel now.
Yep.
Talk us a little bit about your own thought process and moving from being in the field to sort of training the next generation of guys that would do what you've spent so much time doing.
Yeah. So like I said, I got out there and I was measured and I knew that I could do this stuff. And I know that there's a huge need for maintenance or field service. It's the trades are kind of dying and hopefully this Harmel will bring it back. So I know the stuff and I'm, you know there's a need. And I'm also looking forward to challenging myself, but also learning. And I'm going into this experience saying not what I can teach the guys is what I can learn from the guys. You know, I'm looking to grow, you know, spiritually. You know, there's been a little bit of stagnant there, you know, and you get complacent. And I know that. And unfortunately, I don't do anything about it. But this is my move to kind of help me come back there. And then also just, you know, see different perspectives and learn from the guys. I'm really excited to, you know, see what I can do in a different realm. You know, this is, the machine and it's going to be weird for me because it's not going to be like instant gratification. And that's one thing that draws you to the machine, you know, repair is, hey, this is broken. I fixed it. You know, it's really cut and dry whether you did it, you know. Something like this, we're teaching, you know, you won't know right away. You know, it could be like 3 years down the road after the guy had finished, graduated, and, you know, he comes back and says, hey, thanks for teaching me. I've made a career. I'm now head of maintenance. You know, the guy retired. They gave it to me because, you know, I was doing so well. You know, that's what I'm hoping, right? But that gratification won't happen. There's a huge separation from knowing that you've accomplished something from the time you've done it. So it's going to be a little bit different, but that's what I'm kind of hoping is I can learn a lot from these guys and they can take away some good information and move forward and make careers out of it. So
yeah. You talk about sort of like the spiritual development. One of the things I find very interesting, hopeful, God willing, providential even, about machine and systems tech being the first program for Harmel is because, like we were talking about earlier, when you think about something like maintenance, a lot of people don't like paying attention to it, don't pay attention to it, think there's something, less exciting or wonderful about it. They just overlook it. And, I think it's very similar in the spiritual life, because what we like to believe the spiritual life are these, the big wins, right? So
right.
We, in the same way that we like to think about the economy or inventing or technological advances, we'd like to think about Silicon Valley, right? Or the guys in the labs, and you don't think about the maintenance or the truckers or anything like that, which is actually, in a sense, more critical. In the same way, in the spiritual life, we like to think about the clear moments of consolation, the clear wins, the big pivotal things. We don't like to think about the maintenance. You know what I mean? When in fact, there's a sense in which the game's won or lost, if you can speak that way. The game's won or lost in the maintenance, right?
Right.
And whether or not, there's a preventative maintenance in the spiritual life too, right?
That's fair.
and I think, and then there's also putting out fires,
right,
as well. And sometimes, oh man, I really wish, and then 2020 is a great experience of this, right? Oh man, I really wish I would have gotten into this habit or that habit. And now we better be learning the lesson. Oh my goodness, I didn't change the oil in my spiritual life,
right.
And now I'm paying the price for it. I think that there's a sort of a natural coupling to some of the things that, well, frankly, we all need to learn, but hopefully our students will learn well. I think there's a natural coupling between the notion not only of the requirements of maintenance, but the wonder of maintenance and how that applies spiritually as well. Obviously, we're more than machines, but there's an analogy to be drawn here that, yeah, it's great to hang out on the big wins in the spiritual life. Those are the things you kind of wish you had or like to, but those only come as the result of
hard work and
the maintenance that got you there, right?
Yep.
So I'm really excited about that too.
That's a really good parallel and way to root it, especially for the students. If they're learning this stuff, if you can root
spirituality.
Yeah, the word I can't say, no big deal. We can root that. Then maybe it can drive it home, and then they won't have that stagnant point in there, or they get complacent. They'll realize the value of doing it daily and living it, so to speak, instead of just going, we got the win. You know what I'm saying? It's like looking at the game recap versus actually playing the game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, times that, that play didn't go anywhere. That didn't happen, but in the recap, you get all the highlights, right? You go, we got the touchdown, and we won, but it was close, Yeah, it's more of, life is playing the game, and it's all the good and bad, They score one, we score one, but in the end, the scoreboard better be in our favor. And, but we're not always going to see the recaps.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's exactly right. I think people have gotten out of the habit of finding not just the value, but the wonder in the everyday little things. That's where the game's won or lost, right?
Right. As you say, it's almost like going to the gym, right? You say, you're going to go to the gym tomorrow, right? Well, you never do it today. Same thing with spiritual life. I don't really have to pray tonight. I'm just really tired. Work was crazy, but I'll just do it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. You lose one battle like that, you start losing more, and then you realize you haven't done it, or whatever. You haven't done it for so long, and that's really what happened to me. Is growing up, or after I got out on my own, I was like, I don't have to go to church today. I got something to do with my friends. Next thing you know, you skip church for 2 months, and you're like, that's not good. You know?
Right.
You got to get that perspective to get you back and realize, we need to start going again. I'm not advocating don't go to church. Let's throw that back out there. But, you know, I see how it can happen, and hopefully rooting it, like I said, will help them, you know, hey, I'll, you know, make plans with my friends, but I'll plan it after church or around church. You know, not saying don't plan stuff with your friends. Have friends, have, you know, fun, you know, do stuff, but prioritize. You know, this has to happen first, then this, you know, and so on and so forth.
Yep. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you're as excited as we are about what's happening at Harmel Academy. Having Kyle here has been months in coming, and we're so excited, and we'll be shortly introducing you to another fellow who's just joined our faculty, and now that the rest of our inaugural class will be moving onto campus in just a matter of days, well, we have a whole lot to thank the good Lord for. And not least of all, we are thankful for all of you out there who have and continue to support our work by listening to this podcast, by sharing our work with others, and helping us raise the money we need to continue to build this school. And speaking of which, if you or anyone you know is looking to make a little year-end gift, we hope that you will remember Harmel in your year-end giving. It's only through your support that we do what we can do, and you can make that gift at harmelacademy.org. Thanks so much, and have a very Merry Christmas.